Let me ask you something. Have you ever felt like life cornered you, like the weight of failure, rejection, or heartbreak pinned you to the floor and you didn't know if you could get back up? If you've been there, you're not alone. But hear me when I say that moment isn't your downfall, it's the spark of your comeback. Life has a way of blindsiding us when we least expect it. The dream job slips away, a relationship crumbles. A health scare shakes your confidence, and suddenly the world feels unfamiliar, cold, unforgiving. But here's the truth: rock bottom isn't where your story ends. It's where the real story begins. Think about the legends, the icons, the names etched in history. You know what they all share. They've all fallen hard. They've faced public failure, humiliation, loss, but they refused to stay down. Because the greatest comebacks in life are born when everything falls apart, let me remind you of one undeniable fact. You have survived every hard day you've faced so far, every heartbreak, every disappointment, every sleepless night where doubt whispered, "It's over." And yet, here you are breathing, fighting, listening, searching for the spark to rise again. See, what knocks you down isn't what defines you. It's how you rise that writes your legacy. And rising, it's not just possible, it's inevitable if you choose it. In the next part, we'll dive deep into the science behind your comeback, the hidden psychology that can transform your lowest point into your launching pad for greatness. Let me tell you something most people overlook. Falling, failing, stumbling, it isn't random. It's wired into the very fabric of life. But what's also wired deep within us is the power to rise again. The psychology of a comeback isn't just wishful thinking, it's backed by science, proven by history, and lived by those who refuse to accept defeat as the final chapter. You see, psychologists talk about something remarkable. It's called post-traumatic growth. It's the hidden ability within us to evolve, strengthen, and transform after life delivers its harshest blows. While most people only speak about post-traumatic stress, they forget the other side of the coin, the growth that emerges from pain. But how does that work? How does the human mind turn rock bottom into the foundation for greatness? It begins with a simple, undeniable truth: your brain is not static. It's adaptable, it's flexible. Through something called neuroplasticity, your brain rewires itself based on experience, especially difficult experiences. When life knocks you down, when failure shatters your plans, your brain fires new connections. It questions, it learns, it adapts. Pain becomes a brutal but effective teacher, forging resilience, sharpening instincts, and strengthening your emotional core. Let's look at the world's most famous stories of resilience. Think of Thomas Edison, a man who failed over 1,000 times before finally illuminating the world with the light bulb. Critics laughed, doubters whispered, but Edison understood something most miss: each failure wasn't the end. It was data, feedback, information guiding him towards success. Or Oprah Winfrey, once told she wasn't fit for television. Imagine that one of the most powerful voices in media history dismissed, doubted, rejected. But her setback, it wasn't the finale, it was the furnace that forged her legacy. See, comebacks aren't rooted in luck. They're crafted by those who master the psychological battlefield within their own minds. Because here's the secret: your greatest opponent is never the world, it's your inner voice whispering that you can't. Defeat that voice, and there's nothing you can't overcome. Neuroscience shows that consistent action, reframing failure, and nurturing belief rewires your subconscious to expect resilience, to expect a comeback. It doesn't happen overnight. It takes grit, discipline, and unshakable determination. But the human mind, it's built for adaptation. You are built for rising again. The greatest underdogs of history didn't just stumble into success. They engineered their comeback through mindset, belief, and relentless perseverance. In the next part, we'll uncover how to transform your pain into fuel and why the underdog advantage is your greatest secret weapon. There's a reason history loves an underdog story. Something about watching the underestimated, the overlooked, the rejected rise from nothing captivates the human spirit. It ignites a spark within us because deep down, we all know what it feels like to be counted out. But here's the truth they don't teach you in school. Being the underdog, that's not a weakness, it's your greatest advantage. Think about this. The people sitting comfortably at the top, they get complacent. They lose their hunger. They forget the grind. But the underdog, the person life has kicked down again and again, they fight with desperation, with hunger, with something the comfortable can never replicate, the burning desire to prove the world wrong. Let's talk about Michael Jordan, arguably the greatest basketball player of all time. But before the world praised his name, they laughed. Did you know he was cut from his high school basketball team? Imagine the embarrassment, the disappointment, the sting of rejection. But that moment, it didn't break him, it built him. He turned that pain into obsession, into relentless practice, into a mindset that refused to accept limits. Or take the Beatles, legends in music, global icons. Yet early in their career, record label after record label slammed the door in their faces, told they weren't marketable, told they'd never make it. But they didn't listen to the doubters, they listened to their hunger. That rejection fueled their creativity, sharpened their focus, and propelled them to change music forever. Then there's J.K. Rowling, a single mother on welfare, her manuscript for Harry Potter rejected by over a dozen publishers. Imagine the sleepless nights, the doubt, the fear, but she didn't surrender to her circumstances, she transformed them. Today, her story isn't just about wizards and magic, it's about resilience, about the underdog rising, about turning rejection into legacy. The underdog advantage is simple. Pain breeds perspective. Rejection breeds resourcefulness. Failure breeds fire. You learn to adapt, to think differently, to fight harder. You develop the grit, the endurance, the quiet determination that the comfortable never cultivate. And that, my friend, is your edge. If life has knocked you down, if people have counted you out, if the odds feel stacked against you, congratulations, you're exactly where legends begin. In the next part, we'll explore how to build unbreakable mental resilience and why your mind, not your circumstances, will always determine your rise. There's a reason most people stay down when life knocks them to the floor. It's not because they lack talent. It's not because they're unlucky. It's because they haven't yet learned the most important skill of all mental resilience, the unshakable mindset that allows you to keep standing, to keep moving, even when the world feels like it's falling apart. Here's what they don't tell you: mental toughness isn't something you're born with. It's something you build day by day, battle by battle, one painful moment at a time. Let me break it down for you. The most resilient people in the world, they master their inner dialogue. When the voice in their head whispers, "You can't," they fight back with, "Watch me." When failure screams, "This is the end," they answer, "This is my beginning." Resilience is about rewriting your internal narrative not once, but constantly, because the mind is a battlefield, and if you lose that battle, it doesn't matter how much potential you have, your comeback stalls before it begins. Science backs this up. Studies in neuropsychology reveal that our brains are wired to protect us from discomfort. That inner voice that tells you to quit, it's a defense mechanism. It wants to shield you from pain, from risk, from uncertainty. But greatness, it lives on the other side of discomfort. The legends you admire, the athletes, the entrepreneurs, the survivors, they aren't fearless. They've simply trained their minds to act in spite of fear. Visualization, affirmations, micro wins, these are the tools of the mentally resilient. They visualize their comeback before the world sees it. They affirm their worth when doubt creeps in. They stack small daily wins until momentum becomes unstoppable. Remember, resilience isn't avoiding failure, it's facing it head on, extracting the lesson, and rising stronger. Think about it, a muscle only grows through tension, through resistance. The same is true for your mind. Every challenge, every setback, every painful moment is an opportunity to build mental armor. Here's the raw truth. No one is coming to save you. Your comeback, it's your responsibility, and it starts with mastering your mind. In the next part, I'll give you the step-by-step blueprint to engineer your comeback, no matter how far you've fallen. Let me tell you something straight. Comebacks are not built on luck. They're engineered step by step, day by day. They don't happen overnight, and they're never accidental. If you've been knocked down, whether by failure, loss, heartbreak, or life's relentless blows, understand this. There is a blueprint to rise again. I'm not here to sugarcoat it. The road back, it's tough. But the most extraordinary lives were rebuilt brick by brick, using this exact foundation. Step 1, acceptance. You cannot change what you refuse to face. Most people stay trapped in denial, blaming others, wishing things were different, refusing to accept the fall. But growth begins where illusions end. You have to look your circumstances in the eye and say, "This is where I am, but it's not where I'll stay." Step 2, reflection. Every setback carries a lesson, but only if you're willing to extract it. Sit with the pain, ask yourself, what is this teaching me? Maybe it's humility, maybe it's patience, maybe it's grit. The most painful moments often carry the most profound wisdom. Step 3, vision. You cannot rise without seeing beyond the present struggle. Close your eyes and vividly imagine your comeback. Picture the moment you overcome. Feel it. Believe it. Neuroscience proves that visualizing success rewires your brain, aligning your subconscious with your future reality. Step 4, action. Dreams without action, they're fantasies. Begin small, consistent micro steps rebuild confidence and momentum. Maybe it's making that first phone call, hitting the gym, applying for that opportunity. Each small win compounds into unstoppable momentum. Step 5, support. No legend rises alone. Behind every comeback is a mentor, a friend, a community. Seek out those who believe in your potential, even when you doubt it. Let their belief fuel yours. Remember this, success leaves clues. Study those who have risen from the ashes. You'll find this blueprint woven into every story of triumph. The world doesn't hand out second chances, but it respects those who fight for theirs. Your pain is not your prison, it's your raw material. Your mindset is the architect. The blueprint is in your hands, but there's more to learn. In the next part, we'll explore famous comebacks that changed history, stories that prove no fall is final. Let me remind you of something powerful. The history books, they're not filled with perfect people. They're filled with the broken, the underestimated, the doubted, the ones who fell and refused to stay down. The ones who engineered their comebacks and changed the world in the process. Let me show you exactly what I mean. First, there's Nelson Mandela, a man imprisoned for 27 years. Imagine that, nearly 3 decades behind bars. Stripped of freedom, separated from family, isolated from the world. Most would have been broken, but not Mandela. When he walked free, he didn't return with bitterness, he returned with vision, with forgiveness, with leadership. He didn't just rise, he rebuilt a fractured nation and became a global symbol of resilience. Or consider Steve Jobs, the visionary behind Apple. Fired from his own company, humiliated, cast out. For years, many thought his story was finished. But what they didn't understand is that rejection often redirects you to your greatest work. Jobs came back. He didn't just reclaim his position, he revolutionized technology, created the iPhone, and reshaped how the world connects. Then there's Bethany Hamilton, the young surfer attacked by a shark, losing her arm at just 13 years old. Most would have abandoned their dreams, but not her. Despite the odds, despite the pain, she returned to the ocean not as a victim, but as a champion, inspiring millions with her courage. These aren't isolated miracles. They're proof of a universal truth. The size of your fall does not limit the scale of your rise. And it's not just global icons. Comebacks happen in quiet moments, in ordinary lives, every single day. The cancer survivor who builds a new purpose, the bankrupt entrepreneur who starts again, the heartbroken soul who learns to love themselves. You see, the comeback isn't reserved for the chosen few. It's available to anyone bold enough to believe their story isn't over. Here's the key. Every one of those legends had a moment where they could have stayed down, where the pain, the failure, the humiliation felt overwhelming, but they chose differently. They chose to rewrite the narrative. Their stories fuel a truth deep within you. Your past doesn't imprison you. Your comeback isn't a possibility, it's a decision. In the next part, I'll show you how your pain is temporary, but your comeback, that echoes for eternity. Let me share a truth many forget when they're buried beneath the weight of failure. Pain feels permanent when you're in it, but the reality, it's temporary, fleeting, a storm that passes. But the story you write in the aftermath of that pain, that becomes eternal. Here's what happens when life knocks you down. The hurt feels overwhelming, the world shrinks, time slows, the mind plays tricks, whispering, "This is forever," but it isn't. Every scar fades, every heartbreak softens, every failure, no matter how brutal, loses its sting over time. But your comeback, that endures. It lives on in the people you inspire, the legacy you leave, the quiet pride you carry long after the pain subsides. Think about the greats. Nelson Mandela's prison cell, temporary, his impact, eternal. Steve Jobs' exile from Apple, temporary. His innovations, they reshape every generation. Bethany Hamilton's injury, painful, yes, but fleeting. Her courage, that spark ignites millions. The comeback isn't just about reclaiming success. It's about reclaiming yourself, your dignity, your belief. Your unshakable reminder that you are not defined by the moment life broke you, but by how you rebuilt yourself piece by piece. Pain tests you, but it also transforms you. It strips away illusions, excuses, ego. And in its place, it leaves behind something stronger, something sharper, something untouchable. The ancient Japanese art of kintsugi teaches this beautifully. When a piece of pottery breaks, they don't discard it. They repair it with gold, filling the cracks, highlighting the scars, turning the broken into something more beautiful, more valuable than before. You, my friend, are no different. Your cracks, your wounds, your scars, they're not flaws. They're proof that you endured, that you fought, that you survived. The pain will fade. The sleepless nights, the silent tears, the whispered doubts, temporary, but your resilience, your comeback, that's the story people will remember. Because when you rise, you don't just rise for yourself. You rise for every person watching, for every soul doubting their own worth, for the future version of you who one day looks back and whispers, "I made it." In the next, final part, I'll give you the call to action, your moment to rise, reclaim, and rewrite your ending. Here's what I want you to understand. This is your moment. The world may have knocked you down, but the story, it isn't over unless you choose to leave it unfinished. The greatest comebacks in history, they weren't crafted by luck or handed out like prizes. They were earned through grit, through pain, through the relentless decision to rise over and over again. It's your time to rise, to reclaim what life tried to steal: your confidence, your belief, your future, to rewrite the narrative that others tried to script for you. You see, your comeback isn't about proving them wrong, it's about proving yourself right. It's about honoring the younger version of you, the dreamer, the believer, the fighter who once looked at the world with fire in their eyes and dared to imagine something greater. That version of you, They're still in there, beneath the scars, behind the doubts, under the weight of failure, and it's time to bring them back to life. Rise, even when it's hard, even when your legs shake, even when the voices in your head whisper that you're done. Reclaim your identity, your purpose, your right to live life on your terms. Rewrite the story they thought was finished, the one they thought ended in defeat, because you, my friend, are the author. And your greatest chapters have yet to be written. Every legend you admire, from Mandela to Jobs, from athletes to artists, they faced their dark night of the soul, but they made a choice. They stood up when life flattened them. They kept walking when the world laughed. They rewrote their endings when everyone expected silence. And now it's your turn. The pain you carry, it's temporary. The scars you bear, they're proof you've endured. But the comeback you're building, that echoes forever. So take the first step. It might be small, it might feel impossible, but step by step, breath by breath, you rebuild your strength, your faith, your fire. You don't need permission to rise, you only need belief. Because legends, they aren't born in the spotlight. They're forged in the shadows, in the moments no one sees, when you choose to keep going. This is your moment. Your comeback begins now, and remember, it's not how you fall, it's how you rise.